want to call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. Welcome all of our guests here in attendance with us today. We'll begin. I'm going to ask our counselor, Sam Phillips, if he will open us with a word of prayer, and we'll follow that with the pledge to the flag.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we come to you today grateful for all the many blessings that you have given to us as individuals and as a community. I ask that you bless the people in here and bless this body with wisdom and discernment to do what is right for the community and also what is right in your sight. I ask that you bless those who wear the uniform, those who are our first responders, bring them safe to their families. I ask that you look after those who are sick, and I ask that you look after our friend Tony Barnett, who is suffering right now. Yes. I ask that you forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're glad to have quite a crowd with us today. So I'll just start by saying if there's anyone that's here to speak or address the court, now is the time that we'll take that if there's any of that here. But if you're just here to listen, we welcome you. If you have something you want to share or say, you're welcome to do that. Yes, sir?
I have a short talk. I can do it whenever you like.
Well, you're welcome to come to the mic. We want everybody to come to the mic, and if you would, state your name. But
His name's Ray Malinhouse. Okay, sorry. Never mind.
I could use a line from the Christmas story where I can only talk for 3 or 4 hours. Remember when his brother showed up in the motorhome? I'm Ray Malinowski. Some of you know me, others maybe don't. Had a chance to listen to the January fiscal court meeting, and we appreciate the court's decline of the grant money to buy the Brown property. Mr. Thurman apparently anticipated the thinking of the neighbors that surround the park and agreed that the current park size is adequate, and we thank him. We also emphasize that the grant is coming from state taxes, the Kentucky Economic Development Cabinet, and not from TVA. So it's not free money, it's our money. And by not buying that property, the county actually is avoiding a $550,000 expenditure.
just so you understand, the denial of the grant did not stop the purchase of the property. And so make sure that you clearly understand that.
The neighbors who, there's 60 homes that surround the Henderson Park, and we're not, all of us did not come together. Some of them didn't show up. We do not want any more expansion of a geographic area in any more of the brown box buildings. The warehouses that went up, several of which are still empty. The Henderson Industrial Park, to me, represents a government failure. The Industrial Authority took our prime industrial land on I-65 and, in my opinion, allowed a wealthy developer to take control and build duplicate salt box looking buildings that are somewhat unappealing to entrepreneurs and companies. I don't really know how we got into this government-run industrial expansion, but I agree with the majority of this court, it's time to stop. I'm asking the fiscal court if somehow you can withdraw funding of the Industrial Authority Board. I don't know how it gets its money, if you guys are responsible or not. With Mr. Griffith gone, I believe instead of the Industrial Authority, we need a marketing person or hire a marketing contract firm to fill up the empty factories and warehouses and be responsible to the fiscal court or to the common courts, I don't have the name in front of me, to assist in finding tenants for our existing buildings. To me, that should be the focus. We drove through the Sanders Industrial Park recently, and that's nearly empty. Most of those warehouses are empty, and of course Toyo is empty, and Mathers is temporarily renting one of the small warehouses, but it's not, the whole park is not doing well. So we suggest that you put pressure on the Industrial Authority or dissolve it to refocus and fill our existing factories that need help, and do it through a marketing firm and the cost of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. Yes, sir.
I know all of you up here know me. I'm Ryan Forshee. Thank you for letting me speak. I own a company here, Industrial Power Solutions. Just throwing this out there at first. I mean, I am here for protection of work in this community as we employ 30 plus individuals, and that includes their families. You know, what I will say about the remarks about warehousing, you know, I work in that industrial park out there, and I've got probably 15 guys out there today, and we're out there daily. And a lot of those buildings may appear to be warehouses, but they are not warehouses. They're called spec buildings, and from my past and looking into my future, you know, this county has guys that are able to sacrifice and spend money at this location or at multiple locations for that matter across the county that are willing to take the gamble at high interest rates and hold on to these things until we're able to do something with them, until people can come in and spend the money that they want to spend. I mean, you can't give everybody tax breaks, you can't give everybody this, you can't give everybody that, but when you have guys that are willing to do that, when the county stops assisting or the city stops assisting the industrial authority, these guys are going to pack it up and say, you know what, if we can't get you help, you know, we're going to go somewhere else. So, you know, all I ask is that you can reconsider this matter. You know, I have two people that work for me that own land that I don't think they necessarily adjoin this property, but right close within a farm. And yes, they're opposed to the growth of the expansion of land. But if we don't consider expansion of land for future growth, then I think we're going to have a problem. And I've talked to some of you, and there was things that have enlightened me that I wasn't aware of, and there's things that I already know and things that I already knew just from past business. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years. But I just want you to consider these purchases or at least helping the industrial authority along, I personally think that now that we've lost Denny, that's a big deal, and we're going to have to find somebody that has to fill his shoes. Denny did great, I thought, for the community, for the industrial authority, and for a lot of people sitting in this room. But please reconsider the development of future for our children, grandchildren. I think it's a big deal. I left here and worked out of Simpson County for 20 years, but I've lived in Simpson County all my life. And now I'm proud to be back, and I certainly could have taken that somewhere else and done the same thing. But I chose to do it here where my children are going to be here. Hopefully my grandchildren will remain here if I ever have any. But anyway, I appreciate all you guys do, but please reconsider the situation here and think about not only is the county looking to help, but you've also got other people in the community that are willing to help on top of that, such as building buildings and things of that nature. If a company calls and says, hey, this is what we want, you got guys in this room that are willing to make that sacrifice to make that happen. And I think that's a big deal. There's a lot of communities that do not have people like that. The rock quarry was an issue for my parents, and it still is an issue, but, what can we do at this point? I know things are going to come back up, but it's the same situation as growth for economic development. We've got to have it, and if we don't have it, then we're going to fall on our face, because Nashville's coming our way, Bowling Green's coming our way, and if we don't capitalize here in the central location that we're in, then we're going to fall on our face, and our kids are going to be working for somebody in Nashville or Bowling Green or wherever, but it's not going to be here in Franklin, Simpson County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. I definitely don't want to cut anyone off, but if you want to speak, now's the time. It's like the preacher says at the wedding, it's time to speak or hold your peace. Mr. Jernigan?
While he's coming up, I was just looking over our financials for this month, and just the fourth quarter of 2023 off of industry in the county budget was $213,025.45. That's just off of industry, our occupational tax to the county, and the city gets that much too because it's 1% each one. So that's the reason we need industry in this community.
And how much of that does the county keep, and how much of that goes to the industrial authority?
That is what is coming through the claims.
So the county gets to.
I'm sorry, Chad, if you want to talk, you'll have to come up.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Mr. Jernigan?
I'm Larry Jernigan, and I'm probably the oldest person in this room. I know I am. And I say that to say this. When I was a young person, when someone got out of school, here, high school, they went to Indianapolis to work. There was no jobs for anybody. And we've seen that do 180 degrees. We've got jobs, we've got a lively income, family with a lot of good income, and a great place to raise our families. And I love Franklin, I love Simpson County. So I hope we can come to some sort of an agreement to where we can continue to have growth, good growth, and it has to be managed. Growth needs to be managed and managed well. But I just think that we have to continue on a path, maybe shift down a year or two. But I would like to ask you to reconsider your decision in some way. So, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Jernigan. Yes, sir.
So I would like to ask the question, how much of that money is that the money that come in for the county? Or is that after the 80-20 split or 70-30 split that goes to the industrial authority?
I'd have to refer to Nicole on that.
It's after the 70-30. That's what we submitted for fourth quarter of 2023.
So if the county got $213,000, how much was the industrial authority's part?
I mean, that's the whole, that is what's going to the industrial authority, $213,025.45.
So that actually didn't come into the county?
Well,
That's-
yes, all the occupational tax comes in, and then we do a 70-30 split
So-
on most industries, except for Tractor Supply and Fritz, which are at 100%.
So the industrial authority will get 70% of that $213,000?
The industrial
No,
authority
That is
receives.
the 70%.
Yes, the industrial
Okay,
authority
okay.
receives 70% of occupational taxes collected in the industrial parks.
Okay, so,
They formerly collected 80%, that has been changed to 70%.
okay. I just want clarification on that. It's really just for me, for clarification on that. I had no intention of coming up here and speaking, and, after, hearing Mr. Malinowski and Mr. Forsey speak, at the risk of me ruining friendships and relationships in this town, I guess that is what it is, because my largest investment in this town is my home. There is 118 acres there's a purchase agreement on, there's an option to buy right across the street from me. I've talked to 3 of you in this room about that. I've listened to your opinions, you've listened to mine. There's no doubt in my mind that phone calls weren't made last week by you, Mr. Barnes, or that you went and saw people, because I was personally told by individuals that you did to persuade people to come up here or actually reach out to their magistrates and get them to change their mind on this vote. Now, I know that you have an opinion and you're for certain things, and I understand that. You have every right to that. There are multiple people in that area out there that are against it. I respect, there's a lot of developers, a lot of people here that stand, development, they stand to make a lot of money here in this town off of this. And I'm all for that. I'm all for anybody making the amount of money they can make. But I don't think we can do this stuff at the risk of people and their homes and their property and what they work hard for every single day. And my request to you, the 3 of you that voted no, if it comes up again today, I would like for the 3 of you to continue to vote no. It's not free money. It's tax dollars, no matter how you look at it. Grant money from the state is not free money. It didn't grow on trees. It's tax dollars that come into the state from here, from other counties. It's not free money, no matter how you said that. You turn down free money.
What is it costing us, Chad? What is the cost to it? That's why it's free.
It's not free money. It's still tax dollars, no matter how you look at
If it doesn't
it.
go here, it's gonna go somewhere else.
And that's-
what I've been trying to stress, we turn down grants. In 17 years, we've never turned down a grant in this county. We've been denied a lot that we couldn't get, especially one with 2 commas in it. We've never turned one down.
But
But let me ask you, what would be built in this county? What would be in this county if everybody had to be 100% in favor of every project?
I can't answer that question.
I can, nothing.
Well, here's the thing. There's been a lot of talk about we have to have these jobs and we have to build all these buildings because people are coming to work here. I'm going to disagree with that. There might be a few, but people aren't coming to work here in the buildings that are being built. They're coming to live. The people that are building houses, people are coming to Franklin to live. They're not coming to work here because we don't have the high-paying jobs that Nashville and Bowling Green have, and they can't afford the real estate in those 2 areas, so they're coming to Franklin to live. They're not coming here to work. Okay, we've got empty buildings right
And you're
now.
basing that knowledge on what? I mean, my question is, do you build houses or deal in real estate? I mean, I'm not.
I'd rather have- I'd rather have
listen,
houses.
I'm not trying to be antagonistic, but there's a lot of things that are being said and have gotten said that are absolutely not accurate.
Well, all I know is that when an open records request is requested, that should be truthful information that's given out. And the information that I've seen that's put out on social media, those are from those open records requests. And if they're not factual information, then somebody give incorrect information in an open records request, which I would think would not be legal.
Yeah. Well, to address your concern, it comes back to a statement that I have made, which I stand behind and is absolutely true. I can give you a document. You can request a document. I can give you that document. If you do not understand the context nor the meaning behind that document, and all you do is put that document out, that is not the entirety or the context of what's in that document. Does it mean the document's not true? It does not mean that. It just means that there is no context with it, and you can spin a narrative any way you want to spin it.
You're exactly right.
And the bottom line is this. Marty is right when he assesses that if everything that has happened in this community for the last, what do we have, 200 years, 200 years in 2019, so we're at 205 years. If everything that has happened in this community over the last 200 years have been faced with a group of people that said, it's close to me, I don't want it, we would have nothing and we would do nothing.
I-65 wouldn't even move.
And listen, and I want you to understand something, Chad. I understand. The biggest investment most people ever make is their home. I believe me. How do I know that? That's my background. I understand when someone builds a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $600,000, $800,000 home, that's the biggest investment they make.
That's right.
When you're buying a piece of property to build a home, there needs to be an assessment of what's around you and what could happen there. So in the last 25 years, there's been a lot of farmland bought up just for people to build a home. Most of those houses were built after that industrial park was there. If we're going to continue to make it as a community, there will absolutely have to be expansion. No one is saying that anything is happening on a piece of property today, tomorrow, next week, next year. It is there for purchase. It is an opportunity to be prepared for the future. Right where an existing park is at, the park was already there. The park was there before you built your home.
I agree with that.
There are other things around your home that are a lot less sightly than a building.
You're right, but I built my house there knowing that what you're referring to was there, and that doesn't bother me.
And the park was there also, Chad.
It wasn't touching my property. It was not touching my property when I bought it.
But you have to be aware that is a possibility at some point, because I can tell you, if we're going to do expansion, if we're going to continue to grow and thrive as a community, there will be some expansion. Now, if we don't continue to grow and thrive, yes, there won't be expansion, and there won't be a lot else happening either.
Well, so we're more concerned about buying land for potential expansion in the future rather than filling what we already have.
No one said that.
But that's what it appears to be.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive. If we're so single-minded that we have to focus on one or the other, we're never going to accomplish anything. Both can be accomplished at the same time. The thought of marketing and moving what's already out there, and the thought of being prepared for the future, if those ideas have to be mutually exclusive, then we're doomed as a community to begin with.
Okay. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm not going to go back and forth with you.
I understand. And here's the thing. I appreciate your concern. I understand your concern.
For me, I'm asking each of you to do what you were elected to do. You can, industry growth important, and I'm not against that. But you're also elected to represent the people. You're elected in an area, same as each one of you.
And the truth
You're
is,
elected in an area. You have a group of people that you, in my opinion, should represent. Now, again, you've got your opinion about growth, just like I have mine. But you have people telling you that we don't want this, we don't want it to continue, there's got to be a stopping point so you don't infringe on people, I would like to ask you guys to respect that, and that's all I have to say.
I want to reply to that, because as of right now, I've had 4 people in that area call me, 1 opposed and the other 3 were okay with it. So 75% of the people in my district that have called me on that up to now are okay with it. So I feel like I am representing the majority of the people out there.
Because they know where you stand,
No.
and they're calling these other 3 because they're willing to listen to your knowledge.
And that's people that they don't even represent.
Is there anyone else in here that would like to speak today?
Yeah, my name's Steve Schuler. I moved here in 2021. Miss Perkins sold me my home. I moved from California, and I lived in the San Joaquin Valley, and I've seen what you guys are doing. I scraped, scrimped, I did everything I could to get out of there. Industrial, everything came in. What you guys are understanding is when you grow like you're wanting to, like the area I was in, crime goes up so bad. Everybody talks about, their land, and I appreciate everybody, and I want my land. I bought 5 acres, 4.5 acres, and I love where I live. But I'm gonna be, if you guys encroach where we're going, you're gonna be right on my back porch. I moved from a stinking rat-infested place to get out of that. And I live like mile marker 3 out on Gold City Road. I mean, I moved out of town, so I didn't have to deal with that. But I just want to throw a little stats here. Bowling Green, with its expansion, it is now, as of 2020, they are 92.4% above the national average in crime because they're growing so fast. They can't keep up with it. Now you got here, I got the stats here, and I've got here Franklin. We are at what is it? 80.8% above the national average due to the expansions that we're doing right now. I lived in the San Joaquin Valley. It was all farmland, agriculture, everything. We moved all these people in. The immigrants come in. When they come in, they bring a lot of stuff. Not saying I don't like them. I had my own business. 90% of my workforce was Hispanic, and I don't have nothing against them. They were the good Hispanic. You're bringing in the bad. There in California, we had the Norteños, we had the Ceteños, then we had the Bulldogs, then we had the Nazi lowriders, then MS-13 came in and ganged up with the Bulldogs. I mean, you can't do that. I never could leave my car unlocked. I can't carry a gun in California, so, that's out of, you can't protect yourself. Somebody breaks into your home, they sue you. I mean, this Democratic governor we have, I mean, yes, he's importing and he's wanting industrial growth and everything here, but man, I moved here because I can leave my door unlocked, guys. I drive off, I leave my shop open, my house open, and I voted for you, Marty. You come up to me, and I live in old Brad Perry's old home. I bought a beautiful home. I saved, I worked hard to be here. And now, I might have to move. I don't want it.
Thank you, Mr. Schuler. Sam, I respect you coming up, but I want to ask that we don't take as long as we took at the industrial board meeting, please.
I'm sure most of, excuse me, know my name. Sam Shannon, I live on Eddings Road. This is a question for Ron Forsey. You said your parents lived next to the rock quarry. What was some of their fears?
They've still got fears. I mean, it's settling the ground.
What about the semis and all the stuff going up, down Go City? The semis, the dump trucks, hauling all this stuff.
That's all temporary on your all side.
No, I'm asking your side.
Okay.
What was their fear?
I'm about to intervene. Can I have, the purpose of the open discussion here is for members to address the fiscal court. If you have something to say to one of the other speakers in here, that you want to address directly, then this is not the forum for that. If you want to talk to Mr. Forshee, absolutely, I'm all for it, but that is not what this is about. So if you want to address the fiscal court, please, by all means, do so. But any questions directed to Mr. Forshee or anybody else in the audience, whether they have spoken or not, let's do it in some other forum, do it outside, because this is not what this is for. So please address the fiscal court all you want, but if you want to talk to Mr. Forshee about his issues or problems or family's issues, you need to do it somewhere else at some other time.
I totally agree, but I just had to bring that up because I felt like it needed to be said and be heard. You know, some of the fears that we have are the exact same. It was not in the city or county proposal project plan that the Eddings Road would be widened all the way through.
Is that a question?
Yeah, that's the question. Was it not supposed to be widened all the way through?
At this point, no.
Then I must have misunderstood or misread what the project plan was posted in the newspaper. Okay? I am not opposed to growth, but there's a fine line when it has to stop. You know, some of the comments that I've been a part of or have spoke freely of, I'd much rather have residential in certain areas, especially out my way. I will invite everyone here today present and on the board. Why don't you just come take a trip and visit me, and I can show you the backside of our farm. We didn't ask for this. Have I gotten any phone calls asking that? Yes, can we come take a look around your property? 100% not. Y'all don't see what we see and deal with on a daily basis. Semis, dump trucks going all the way down to Ronnie Clark Drive, when in the proposed plan was the grant money was to widen Eddings Road all the way through. It didn't say it was going to stop at just Trader Joe's. We're getting ran off the road daily, pushed off the road. And we have to put our vehicles in reverse, go down the driveway and back into our driveway to allow and accommodate. That's not right. It's not fair, it's not right. So where's the safety? There's been multiple times our road was shut down when the expansion of the water and sewer going to Trader Joe's. We didn't get a notice. We topped that hill, next thing you know, there's a big track hole. We did not get a courtesy of anything that's been going on. And it hurts.
Sam, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
First, I want to say this. I do appreciate what you're saying, and I completely, you know that I sympathize with your situation, and I want to make clear that everyone here understands that your situation is different from adjoining or surrounding landowners in that you have been placed in a donut hole, not by your choice. Now, will you agree that you and I have had that conversation?
We have had that multiple conversations.
Can I ask you another question?
Absolutely.
Have you called or texted or messaged me a number of times?
Randomly, yes.
Have I ever not responded to you or tried to help or take care of the situation?
Between you and Kitten Powell, absolutely.
Now, and the authority, I just want to make sure that everyone understands here, because I want to help you. I do, and I think you know that. The authority had made an offer at one time to buy the land if it would be priced, and it didn't happen. But you did make a phone call to me last Thursday, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And we talked about getting an appraiser to appraise the property, and let's see what we could do and make work, correct?
Absolutely.
And I told you that I would get to work on that, and we would do our best to help take care of that, did I not?
Yes, sir, you did.
Do you believe me or trust me that I will? Do you have a reason not to believe that I will?
No. I'm just a firm believer. Until it's been shown or proven,
The unfortunate thing is those type of things don't happen overnight.
You're right.
A lot of times you're at the mercy of an appraiser and the time frame that they would turn things over to you. I know we have at least 3 realtors in this place and some home builders. I think they could all tell you that you may think you're going to get an appraisal in a week and it's a month, whatever the time frame. But listen, I do understand and your situation, your concern, and I do feel bad for where you guys are at. And I am working on it.
Well, I appreciate that, but we'll just have to see and cross that bridge when, but what I'm standing here for today, 10 toes tall, is I do not want to see this happen to anybody else blindsided. Now, I mean, there are some growth going on, and, you know, yes, certain people bought their house and land and to develop and to put their full life hard work into that, to see their kids grow up and their grandkids grow up, with knowing maybe that the one day. But the nightmare that we see on a daily basis, I do not want to happen to anybody else.
I understand.
So I will always be, when I'm able to be at these meetings, to speak this way again, to bring awareness. And my house and my door and our farm is always open. And please come take a look at the backyard, because you don't see it from Eddings Road. And to follow up on another comment, Myron, Scott, Jeff, I appreciate y'all for saying no, because there's a fine line that this has to stop. We're wasting good farm agriculture land. What's going to happen when there's no more farmland? There's going to be no crops. There's not going to be any cattle. There's not going to be anything. But I'm glad that certain ones are reaching out to you all, because when we try to reach out to Marty, nothing.
You never called me, Sam.
I don't have to. My grandparents and everybody else has.
Your what?
So my grandparents, grandmother, and my mom and dad have. They help our road, but I got to go to other people.
They never reached out to me either. I can't answer phone calls when people don't call.
All right, does anyone else care to share a voice of concern? I think most of us know who you are, but we'll let you tell everybody your name.
Josh Jones, Frank Aluminum, J. Jones Builders. I'm late in the game finding out kind of what's transpired. Not to say I have all the information that I should have. What worries me is I feel like, you know, there's a lot of people in this room. You start looking at every face. You've got school system, real estate, builders, developers, lots of different guys that work in this county. When you say you're going to stop growth or slow growth down, it's no different than going to each and every one of your jobs and saying we're going to cut you back from 50 hours to 30 hours. I feel like growth should happen. I don't feel like it should be stopped. That's a dangerous track to go down. Smart growth, where you expand, how you acquire the land, what you do with the land of what's around you. I mean, there's several of us in here that hated that we see a 2-mile tall pile of rocks and dirt with a rock quarry on the other side of the park that everybody looks for, that we definitely didn't need. Do we need industrial land? Sure. Do we need homes? Yes. The same as medical facilities, car sales, everything restaurants that we all use in life. But where to put that land and where to grow from, that's where we put our trust into you guys. But to say that we're going to stop it or slow it down, that's a personal thing to everyone in here. You know, we've been in business. My dad started, this year makes 50 years. We don't just work in Simpson County, but I live in Simpson County. I know we've had a meeting. I know Mason, Kenton, Carter with planning and zoning was involved. Some of the local builders got together and wanted to make all of our developments something that we want to drive by and look at every day. You know, there's a couple developments in town and a lot of people complain about that it just looks terrible because you're looking at the backyards of everybody. That's no different than looking at the backs of industrial parks. We want to help control some of that, but you've got to put people in place to do that. And I can tell you one thing, I'm not one-sided to say, I want you to come and start an industrial park right behind my house, but I can't control it if I don't buy the land. What I worry about is if you don't buy the land around that to expand and say you put a 10-year hold on that piece of land, and let's be selective of what we put in there. There's one thing that we see in industrial stuff now in what we sell in housing. You're bringing people from outside of this county in. There's a lot of people from Tennessee, California, Arizona, multiple states that are coming into this county. I'm not saying any of them's working here. I have no idea. But to say 75% of probably what we've sold in the past 2 years is not people that already live inside this county. They can't afford some of the housing. The one thing that I would want to bring up, whatever happens to the industrial board, whether that's kept together, whether that's controlled more on the local, spectrum, be selective of what we bring in here. It's okay to say no in some instances. It's okay to say no to all of us and say, hey, we're not growing that industrial park. But be selective of what you bring into town, because what you bring into town and the jobs that you bring into town is what this county ultimately is going to look like. If you bring in all warehousing and distribution, then you're going to need a lot of rental property. They're not home buyers right now. That price does not meet that price point. If you're making $18, $22 an hour, you and your wife both working in that same job is not buying a $250,000 house now. There's a kind of a basis that we have to get to. Putting something together to say this is smart growth, do we need it? Are we, the things that they've done, the Franklin Forward meetings where we've done a lot of the infill. They want to infill instead of expanding out. I think that's awesome. But it's another thing. If you don't buy a piece of property, you can't control what's there. My opinion versus Mr. Drake's or the other fellow that was here a minute ago, they may be on total different spectrums. I respect everybody in here. A lot of people say, first thing we get attacked as a developer, you got Cracker Jack box houses going up. Well, be careful, because the guy that just spent $125,000 on his house is no more important than the guy that's got $600,000 in his house. Nobody's any better than anybody else in town. And to say that, I wonder of what's been talked about in the last week or two of saying we're going to slow down growth, you're taking our livelihood. I'd like, I guess, an explanation of what slow down looks like and what that outlook looks like over the next 10 or 15 years. Because we're growing. We're the last small county in amongst all these string of counties. You can either control the growth now of how you want it to look like, or you can let it get out of hand and say, man, I wished we had of. You've got one shot at it, of making it look like what you're okay with it looking like. It can't stay vacant land forever. I wish my house is a quarter mile off the road. I don't want to see another house. I know that's weird from a guy that builds subdivisions, but that's just my choice. But not everybody's like that. We've talked about several times about some P&Z issues of, can you make houses tighter together? Well, some people don't want to see that, but then again, that's where a lot of the, younger generation, that's what they want. It's not to say that's what I like. You'll never hear me say that. But if you're going to get more lots per development versus expanding out, at some point in time, that volume looks better at putting a higher volume of houses in a certain area. Same with, I can't imagine industrial is any different. I'm not in that realm of stuff. I just worry about if you start slowing down, this is going to open up a can of worms that you guys can't control. That's my only concern. And I hope you all think about everybody sitting in this room. Yeah, I don't want a lot of stuff, but there's some things that can be done that hits both sides so everybody's happy in the end.
I agree, Josh. Two points, if you'll let me, on comments that you made. Number one thing that falsely gets said is that the industrial board just takes everything that knocks on the door. That's absolutely not true. There have been projects turned away. There have been projects that don't even get a look because it's obvious they do not fit what happens in Simpson County. The second is on the Franklin Forward meetings that you're talking about, where the community come together to work on that, and the plan that will be presented at the next joint meeting, the infill growth you're talking about. So like where you have like certain subdivisions, and there's a hole, a pocket there that makes sense, that if the next subdivision comes, right here's where it makes sense. They have the same thing with the industrial, and the two parcels of land that are being discussed are noted in that Franklin Forward future thing as future expansion for that park.
Okay. Guys, I appreciate everybody that's here. I hope I've not made anybody mad, but I just feel like there's ways of getting to where everybody's happy, and try to, even the people that are disgruntled about it, try to make strides to make them happy also. If they don't like what you're doing, maybe you make it look better from their property one way or the other.
Josh, I'd like to clear up, not a statement actually you made, but I'm going to speak for Myron Thurman. I'm not going to speak for anybody else on this court. I am for growth. You know what type of business I'm in. I've been in this business for 43 years in Franklin, Kentucky.
Right.
As far as the comment made that we're trying to stop growth and slow growth, that's the farthest thing from my mind. That's the furthest thing from my mind. What's on my mind is that we respect people in the community. We respect their houses. We respect the people that these parks and stuff affect. My thinking is that maybe we might have alternative places we can put these parks, so we all can come together on this problem. But not one thought has come from my mind that I'm trying to slow down or stop growth. Never. Now there's a lot of things, like Mason said, there's a lot of things out here that's inaccurate, very inaccurate statements that this person made, that person made. I want to clear that up on my part.
Okay, I respect that. And that's one of the things that, you know, as I always say, the worst information is when you get it from social media. You would rather hear people say out of their mouth, and when you're in front of, you know, whoever, of exactly what's going on, because usually social media is going to be strong, one narrative or the other. It's not going to be the guy that's going to put all of the information out there.
Each of the independent builders here, developers, I like to thank each one of you. Ken, I've told you many times, and you, both David as well, how much I appreciate what you guys are doing. You guys need to be doing this. Government don't need to be involved in projects. We just need to make a path for that. But I do appreciate everything you guys are doing.
You understand where I'm coming from. I can't speak for anybody else, because it's, you know, every time that I've got to now to where my wife actually looks at most of that stuff, and then she feels the need to come and tell me. But most of the stuff that you see, it's like, hey, we've got to stop this. We have to stop that. I tell a lot of people, you know, I hope we haven't built anything in the past that people aren't proud of looking at. You may not be a fan of what you're looking at, but what you build and the finished product, and how you know, the image that you have of what you've done, it's something that I'm going to drive by the same as anyone else. You know, you've got builders that do not live in this county that don't care. You know, as the good old saying is, they're here to make a buck, and they'll be gone when the volume's gone. Yeah, but you know, we're going to adapt to whatever's happening. We still want, I hope you guys will put something together, whether it's industrial, whether it's residential, or what have you, jointly with the city, that helps control, you know, a development of ours or anybody else's, of what you want this thing to look at. You've got one shot to make this thing look like Hilton Head, to where everybody comes back and say, hey man, that was neat, where it's all, you know, protected by shrubbery and different things. It's not ugly going down the road. Or you can make it, you know, look like something that you're like, dang boy, I wish we'd got in front of that before it happened. I feel like the boom's here. We just got to figure out how you're going to make this county, you know, look, and how you're going to meter it, and what jobs you're bringing in, things. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else? We need to move on if there's no one else. Gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the minutes of our February 20th court meeting, we need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Meyer and a second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next on the agenda is the clerk's 2023 fee settlement, and the clerk is coming to address us.
Yep, so we just closed out by March 15th. So.
Presenting that today. We've got our check here. It's $70,981.52. It's left over in the 23 account. So that'll be turned over.
So the $70,000 was over and above your operating expense?
Well, no, we had to get it refunded from one of the ad val districts, got paid out, so we got a little bit of money back from that. So that's what that difference was. So that's why it's a little bit more than it usually is at the end of the year, so.
Gotcha.
Need a motion to accept that?
All we need is a motion to accept the fee settlement.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty, second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is second reading and passage of fiscal year 23-24 budget ordinance number 220.255, amendment number 3, amending in revenues that weren't anticipated and other items into the budget that we looked at first reading at the last meeting. We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty. Second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
No. Roll call.
Oh, that's right, sorry, ordinance roll call. Thank you, Counselor.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Jeffrey Byrd,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Next, gentlemen, we have 2 different boards that we need to have board appointments for. One, the first is the Simpson County Water District Board. If y'all recall, Ray Mann retired prior to his term expiring, and we appointed Corey Kono to fill that unexpired term, which was just a few months remaining in, and he has also become the board chair since this, so he must be hitting the ground running with it. But the district manager has requested that we reappoint Corey Kono to a full 4-year term, which would run through 12/31 of 2028. So I need a motion and a second to approve that appointment.
So moved.
Got a motion by Jeffrey. Second. Second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And next is 3 different board appointments to the Tourism Commission, and these are all by recommendation of the Tourism Director. It would be Lynn Caudle, Ashwani Savaria, and Mike Simpson, to all 3 be appointed to 3-year terms, which would run through December 31 of 2027.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All of those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, gentlemen, is the medical contract with the jail. It's time to renew the medical contract. I don't know if you've read through or seen this. There are some costs increased here. Roughly, the base cost of the contract is approximately $68,000 more, and the cost pool about $15,000. There's a number of factors that have driven that cost. Employee cost, liability insurance on the part of the medical group, because now the people providing medical coverage to the jail is required by federal law to do some things they weren't formerly required to do, and it has driven liability costs pretty heavy. And this is kind of one of those situations where we're obligated to provide the medical, we're kind of at the mercy, and my understanding in talking with the jailer is we could explore other avenues for this, but they would all be either at or above this rate.
I think we did that one time, didn't we?
What's that?
Bid out, put this out for bid?
Yeah.
I mean, at one time.
We bid out all of our contracts to get the best price. There's like 3 or 4 medical providers that are in our area, and every one of them, and I think most of y'all saw, with the exception
Mr. Burr, I think most of y'all saw those bids and how far apart they were with who we did take, which is the provider we have right now. And they beat everybody substantially. I can say without a doubt, I am very pleased with the service. The manpower coverage, we don't have to worry about a nurse not being there. I like that. Let me tell you something, that's a big one. And the reason this is being brought to you right now is for the simple fact, just like Judge said, there's some legislation that got passed down, and I've been fighting it.
Well,
but guess what? We got to deal with it.
Legislation's been passed, but a court has determined
A
that,
Supreme Court.
has determined that when they.
We're going to deal with this.
I'm going to say when they passed this, that it also applies to something else, which I don't really think was initially considered anyway, but yes.
The only reason I asked that is to say that we have bid it in the past.
Yes,
and it didn't make any
we always do. That's the public tax dollars being spent. We bid it out. There's your best, lowest, was it the best, lowest, cheapest bid?
I think it's called the best and most responsive bidder.
Well, I feel like we got that one, and they were the cheapest too. I just want to throw that out there too. They were the cheapest as far as the bids come in. We went with all reputable medical providers, and our provider is one of the leading ones in the state right now across the majority of the other jails across the state, and they take care of the jailers. They take care of our counties, let me say it that way. They take care of our counties because I feel like they put the jail in the county first, and they accept responsibility, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm pleased with what I'm at. If we can do this, that's fine. If y'all want to take a step back and bid, we can do that too. I'm 100% certain we're wasting our time, but we do whatever you want to do.
I make a motion to accept.
As part of that motion, Myron, would you also add to authorize the judge to sign this agreement?
Yes.
All right, so we got a motion to accept the medical contract and authorize my signature on it. I need a second.
Second. Does he also have to authorize the jailer, because the jailer's not on bond that too?
I don't, that'll be a question for the counselor. My opinion would be, I don't know that, it don't hurt to do it. I don't know that it has to, because his signature can't bind us to the contract.
Okay.
It has to be a full signature. I can't enter in the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think if you want to, that's fine, but I don't think it's necessary.
So we got a motion and a second. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. And then finally, gentlemen, under regular business is we've had some discussion a couple of times about planning and zoning, expanded jurisdiction, the extra workload through the permitting and inspection process of both the building and the electrical, and what that will do to our chief official and clerical work in the office. So we have an employee resolution 2024-03-05 EMP-P&Z that has been recommended to cover the added workload and requirements on these individuals. So I would need a motion and a second to approve that employee resolution.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty.
Second.
Got a second by Myron. Any question or discussion?
We didn't vote on the pay for that the last time. So I see where that increased.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking, since we're going to have the budget come up, is that we just going to amend the budget? I mean, do you think that we need to do this now?
No, well, we've had to amend the budget with the revenues coming in that are probably sufficient to cover where we're at for the remainder of this fiscal year. Obviously, the numbers will be plugged into the new budget, but there will also be quite a bit of revenue on the revenue side of planning and zoning that will be.
And we'll have another amendment before the end of this fiscal year.
Even more money coming through planning and zoning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. As long as we're still handing out building permits, we're still doing okay. we quit handing out building permits, we may have to back up and go the other way. So we had a motion and a second. We had any more discussion, question? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Gentlemen, budget transfers. If you had an opportunity to review those on your portal, we need a motion and a second to approve those budget transfers.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty, second by Scott. Was that you, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And finally, the bills and claims. We need a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Jeffrey,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to reports, the only thing you see on your agenda portal there, an annexation request. Our last meeting was February 20th, and on the 25th, I received this annexation request. And so we didn't have time, but yesterday I received notice that the annexation had already been approved. So it didn't really do any good for us to take a look at it because they approved it before we had another meeting. And there aren't a lot of changes being, I think it's House Bill 569. I may have the numbers, I may have number dyslexia. 569 or 596, I forget which, that's has proposed addressing how cities handle annexation going forward and what the abilities of the counties would be to safeguard that. So for the people that are here in this audience and the people that may be listening, there are a lot of things that local governments are statutorily and constitutionally obligated to provide and do. One of those being the jail that the jailer was up here talking about. To my knowledge, all of the things that local government are statutorily or constitutionally obligated to do all fall on county government, but yet when city annexation takes place, it can eat into the revenue that the county has to perform those functions. And those functions, like with the county clerk's office, affect everybody in the entire county, whether you're inside or outside the city limits of Franklin. So the legislature has taken up the question of annexation and how it may look in the future. So now where annexation has largely just been whatever the city wants, the city gets, or you have some kind of compromise in it, it may going forward be handled by legislation, and we do it the way the legislature said.
What happened to the 1-year moratorium put on that? What happened to that?
Well, it's still in place up until like July, but it hasn't been effective.
Because basically, they carved out an exception where there is consent between the parties, and of course, the city for decades has had everybody sign consents to annexation, and they record them at the clerk's office. And so that was completely, at least in this jurisdiction, our community has been completely toothless.
Yeah.
And my compliments to the city attorney for instituting that practice years ago. That was pretty shrewd lawyering on his part.
And I don't know if, by looking at that law, I don't know if it's going to even affect us or not, that bill, because it's something about 30,000 people or more you got to have, if I'm understanding that right.
Well, it may have ultimately affect us one day, but there's other parts in that about, there's other parts in there that will definitely affect us. So anyway, that's all I've got. Myron?
No, Paul.
Scott?
No, just thank you folks, what you do for this community and coming up and speaking.
Jeffrey?
No report.
Marty?
I went out to the Lincoln Day dinner last Saturday night, crossed the bridge on King Perry. It looks good down there, Bobby. Appreciate all you done, all the guys did to get that in. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Counselor?
No report.
Sheriff?
No report, sir.
Jailer?
This is more a request, and why I'm seeing some influential people in this room right now. House Bill 556, they're trying to take away our programs, monies, which impacts our community, or impacts the jail anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 is where we're on track for right now. Isn't that fair? They're talking like taking that away from our community, and that subsidizes our operations monies. So if we don't have that, we're all going to pay for it in taxes. So if you could reach out to your senators, some of y'all know them personally, just reach out and just ask them to, keep funding the programs that's going through our jails. And not everybody's doing the programs. We started it here in Simpson County. We actually helped set the guidelines for the state, and some of the jails are doing it. A lot of jails are saying they're doing it, and I think that's where our problem's coming in. They're getting funding that really, and I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I don't know how to say what I'm saying, but we are doing it the way it's supposed to be done, and a lot of other jails are doing it the way it's supposed to be done. Some are not, and I think it's leaving a black eye on our community. We don't need that. So if you would reach out to your senators, I would greatly appreciate it. And your associations, Magistrate Association, Judge Association, Commonwealth Association, or the Attorneys Association, I would greatly appreciate y'all talking to them and getting them behind us.
What is that bill number again?
It's House Bill 556. And, like I said, all I got to do is put a grade card on us. I'll just tell you, we're getting an A. There's some that's not. So if you can help us out, just call your senator. And it might be good to just talk to your senator if you've never talked to them just publicly, because they're pretty cool. Mike Wilson will listen to you. He's in Bowling Green, and I don't know if Sean McPherson's tied, can influence. I'm sure he can. Sean McPherson over in Allen County,
You still talk to him whether he
Yeah. Feel free to call me. You'd be surprised what kind of conversations you can strike up with these gentlemen, because you may start in on, hey, help us out on 556 and end up in something else. So anyway, that's all I got. And appreciate everybody that's here and how this meeting went today. That was pleasant.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, you have anything? Bobby, you have anything for the road department?
I spoke to Scott and Jeff earlier because this affects their district, but the Kenny Perry project, we ended up with a little over $115,000 under budget on that project, which I know that sounds like a lot, but there was a $76,000 for moving a water line, and the rest of it was in earthwork that we worked around, didn't have to do. Being that, I would like to get approval to move that money for another project. In the North and West District, right where they join, part of Sloss Road is going to be resurfaced this year. It was already budgeted and planned, but at the end of that, when you go right or left on Roberts Road to Warren County, it'd take about 106,000, a little 119,000, to resurface that road, that section. It's not something I would probably put on the road list next year, but it's going to have to be done eventually. But in doing that, right where Balance has his bins, he is asked to do some work in that area because of his truck traffic, to widen it. And he just got through spending no telling how much on concrete work in there in bins. He asked to mill that road down. And I told him that's something that we normally didn't do because of cost. And he also asked if we could widen it because of his trucks and the traffic and his operation right there. So he has actually volunteered. He said he didn't think it was fair for the county to do something just for him in that area. He's volunteered to cover some of that cost, which would be milling the road down and the base for that project, which would run about $12,000. So if we wanted to do that, we would do that project for around $107,000, which we have the money from the Kenny Perry project, we just have to transfer, which I can transfer, but we need the approval to do that section of Roberts Road from Sloss to Warren County line.
Are they gonna use the millings to widen the road?
No, well, probably, it's just 800-foot section he wants done. He's asked for because of, he's built that little seed facility across from it, and he's crossing, it is starting to break the road up right there. We probably will dig that out because it's so packed and put base and then resurface the whole, widen that and then resurface the rest of the road.
We need a motion.
I guess we need a motion to make that budget transfer.
We can add it in.
To do that paving project's what I'm wanting to do.
Nicole, what was
We can add it in if you all approve it. I mean, we can add it into the budget transfers that we have on.
Or we can move it next time. It probably won't be done for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, if we can get if we have a motion in a second and the treasurer can add it into the current budget transfers and y'all are okay, will we have to go back, Counselor, and amend the motion in a second on the budget transfers to include this?
No.
But we can just make a motion in a second to add it to the budget transfers?
Correct.
Okay.
And you're going from Kenny Perry to
No.
asphalt.
Oh, yeah. From Kenny Perry Bridge just to asphalt.
And the total cost is, you just want to transfer the amount left over?
We'll transfer that and
Okay.
what's left. And,
All right. So yes, the answer is yes, we'll need a motion in a second to approve that transfer.
I'll make a motion.
I second it.
Scott's made the motion, Jeffrey seconded. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill, you have anything with maintenance? Nelson, anything with fire department? Hearing no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Got a motion by Jeffrey and a second by Scott. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?